Welcome to Hockey Wiz Talks podcast. Today I'll be giving grades and analysis on the 2020 NHL Draft. The 2020 NHL Draft is done, so now it's time to break down the draft and give teams letter grades. The Anaheim Ducks drafted Jamie Drysdale, Jacob Perreault, Sam Colangelo, Ian Moore, and Artem Galimov. I give the Anaheim Ducks a B+. Overall, the Anaheim Ducks had a solid draft. They improved their prospect pool on defense with Drysdale and Moore, and added some scoring punch with Perreault and Colangelo. The Arizona Coyotes get a D because they didn't have a pick until the 4th round of the draft, so the chances to draft a high-impact player goes down significantly. Boston Bruins drafted Mason Lohrei and Trevor Kuntar. I give them a C-. The Bruins added a towering 6'4" defenseman in Mason Lohrei and a highly skilled center in Trevor Kuntar. Buffalo Sabres drafted Jack Quinn and John Jason Peterka. I give them a B-. Although the Sabres did get two very good players in Jack Quinn and John Jason Peterka, they passed up on Cole Perfetti and Marco Rossi to select Jack Quinn. Only time will tell if that was a mistake. Calgary Flames drafted Connor Zary and Jan Kuznetsov. I give them a B. The Flames stole Connor Zary at 24, who was a top 20 pick, and also added a big 6'3" defenseman with massive upside in Jan Kuznetsov. Carolina Hurricanes drafted Seth Jarvis, Noel Gunler, Vasily Ponomarov, and Alexander Nikishin. I give them an A-. The Hurricanes might not get the spotlight from most media outlets, but they very quietly had a great draft, adding to their already great young core. Chicago Blackhawks drafted Lucas Reichel, Drew Commisemo, Landon Slaggard, and Wyatt Kaiser. I give them a B-. The Blackhawks had a solid draft, but they could have drafted a better player at 17 than Lucas Reichel. The Colorado Avalanche drafted Justin Barron. I give them a C+. The Avalanche add to their already stacked young D-core with the addition of Justin Barron. He is a bit of a project, but he has massive upside. Columbus Blue Jackets draft Yegor Chinakhov and Samuel Nasko. I give them a C. The Blue Jackets took Chinakhov a little higher than he was expected to go, but the Blue Jackets do have a track record of finding hidden gems, so he could turn out to be a really good player. Dallas Stars drafted Maverick Bourque and Antonio Stranges. The Stars stole Maverick Bourque at 30 and also added a very skilled forward and Antonio Stranges in the 4th round, but neither are game changers. Detroit Red Wings drafted Lucas Raymond, William Wallinder, Theodor Nederbeck, Cross Hannes, Donovan Sabrango, and Emil Varro. I give them an A-. The Red Wings added a future star in Lucas Raymond, a stud defenseman in William Wallinder, a solid center in Theodor Nederbeck, and more defensive depth with Hannes, Sabrango, and Viro. And now a word from our sponsor. Check out my hockey blog at hockeywiztalkshockey.blogspot.com. Also visit my Facebook page, Mr. HockeyWiz777, and my Instagram, Mr. HockeyWiz77. Edmonton Oilers drafted Dylan Holloway and Carter Savoy. I give them a B-. The Oilers didn't add any players that can help the team immediately, but these two players could play a key role on the team in the future. The Florida Panthers drafted Anton Lundell, Emil Heineman, Ty Smilanic, and Justin Sordieff. I give the Florida Panthers a B+. The Panthers had a real solid draft, who continue to add top-notch prospects. It's just a matter of when they will be NHL ready. The LA Kings drafted Quinton Byfield, Helge Grans, Brock Faber, Casper Samantovol, Alex Laferriere, and Martin Kromiak. I give them an A. An excellent draft by the LA Kings, who add to one of the deepest prospect pools in the NHL. The Minnesota Wild drafted Marco Rossi, Marat Kuznetsov, and Damon Hunt. I give them a B+. A great draft by the Minnesota Wild, who addressed their weakness at center by adding Rossi and Kuznetsov. They could form a great 1-2 punch in the future. The Montreal Canadiens drafted Caden Gooley, Luke Tuck, Jan Mysak, and Blake Biondi. I give the Montreal Canadiens a B+. The Canadiens added at least 3 NHL caliber players. None of them are really say star players, but they should all be real solid NHL players. Nashville Predators drafted Yaroslav Askarov, Luke Evangelista, and Luke Prokop. I give them an A. Just for the fact the Predators added a future franchise goalie in Askarov. This already makes them a winner in the draft. The New Jersey Devils drafted Alexander Holtz, Dawson Mercer, Shakir Mohamadulin, Nicholas Dawes, Yarmir Pitlick, and Ethan Edwards. I give them an A. The Devils had a great draft and added some much needed talent to the roster. However, the Devils will need to wait at least until the 2021-22 season till any of these players are NHL ready. New York Islanders drafted Alexander Junkrantz, Alex Jeffries, and William Dufour. They get a C-. The Islanders added some solid wingers, but no real game changers on offense. New York Rangers drafted Alexi Lafreniere, Braden Schneider, William Culley, Dylan Garand, and Oliver Tarnstrom. They get an A+. The New York Rangers won the entire draft the moment they won the draft lottery. Lafreniere is a franchise player that might make the Rangers a contender as early as next season. The Ottawa Senators drafted Tim Stützle, Jake Sanderson, Ridley Gregg, Robbie Jarventi, Ty Cleven, and Igor Sokolov. They get an A+. Not only did the Ottawa Senators add Tim Stützle, Jake Sanderson, and Ridley Gregg, they also traded for Matt Murray, which means the Senators could get really good really fast. Philadelphia Flyers draft Ty Forrester and Emil Andre. I give them a C. The Flyers draft two very solid players in Ty Forrester and Emil Andre, but I think Forrester was taken a bit too high. Pittsburgh Penguins drafted Joel Blomqvist and Calle Clang. I give them a D. The Pittsburgh Penguins drafted two prospect goalies after trading away Matt Murray and Patrick Hornqvist. These two goalies are at least 2 to 3 years away from being NHL ready, so I'm not sure what the Penguins are trying to do. And now a word from our sponsor. Check out my other podcasts on soundcloud.com/MrHockeyWith777. The San Jose Sharks drafted Ozzy Weisblatt, Thomas Bordelot, Tristan Robbins, Daniil Gushkin, and Brandon Coe. I give them a C. While the Sharks did get some nice players, they didn't exactly get any game changers on offense or defense. The St. Louis Blues drafted Jake Neighbors, Leo Loof, and Dylan Peterson. I give them a C. It will be tough for the Blues to compete in the same division as Colorado, Dallas, and Winnipeg without some real game changers on offense. Tampa Bay Lightning draft Jack Finley, Cage Goncalves, Maxim Groshev, and Jack Thompson. I give them a C. The Lightning added depth to the system, which is never a bad thing, especially when the team is tight on cap. Toronto Maple Leafs drafted Rodion Amirov, Ronnie Harvonen, Topi Niemela, Artur Artyomov, and William Villanueva. I give them a B+. The Maple Leafs sneakily had a great draft, addressing their needs at left wing, defense, and goaltending. The Vancouver Canucks drafted Juno Germo, Jackson Kuntz, and Jacob Trescott. I give them a C-. Because the Canucks did not have a first and second round pick, they really didn't make much noise in the draft. Vegas Golden Knights drafted Brennan Brisson, Lucas Cormier, Jackson Halloum, and Jesper Vikman. I give them a B-. Vegas added some nice prospects to their already good prospect pool. The Washington Capitals draft Hendrix Lapierre and Bogdan Trineyev. I give them a B-. Hendrix Lapierre is a steal at 22 for the Washington Capitals, and he could be a major player for them down the road. Winnipeg Jets draft Cole Perfetti and Daniel Torgerson. I give them a B+. The Jets stole a top 5 talent in Cole Perfetti at 10 and also added a solid power forward in Daniel Torgerson. The most surprising thing about the 2020 draft was that there were only 3 actual trades made, which begs the question, why was the draft so uneventful outside of making draft picks and trading picks? In my next podcast, I talk about the 2020 free agent signings.